We are witnessing a mass exodus. Across the globe, intellectually rigorous minds are quietly withdrawing from traditional spiritual life. They see a collision between the empirical standards of science and the inherited dogmas of the past, and many find the two impossible to reconcile. This friction is rarely a failure of faith. It is a failure of the conceptual framework we use to describe reality. We are attempting to process a 21st century universe through a model built for a pre-quantum world. The structural limitation of this old model is its reliance on a three-dimensional perspective. It attempts to contain a boundless, multidimensional creator within a very narrow physical box. When a multidimensional concept is squeezed into 3D coordinates, the math breaks. The divine appears physically distant, logically inconsistent, or entirely absent to the rational mind. Consider how traditional theology maps the cosmos. In this 3D model, the divine is placed at the far edges of the axes, physically distant in space or separated by time. It portrays a God active only in the ancient past or waiting at an apocalyptic finish line. This specific geographic and temporal separation creates an environment defined by isolation. If the divine is elsewhere and elsewhen, faith becomes a matter of reaching across a void. However, 21st century physics suggests that the void is an illusion. Modern science does not dismantle the concept of the divine. It provides the empirical evidence to rebuild it. Quantum mechanics and relativity offer the specific vocabulary required to update our understanding of the divine to a 4D reality. This is the foundation of what is called the Third Reformation. Resolving the modern spiritual crisis requires we move past medieval metaphors and reconstruct our theology from quantum first principles. This map of the cosmic microwave background illustrates the physical boundary of our universe. This is the thermal echo of the Big Bang, the moment when time itself, as a measurable dimension, sparked into existence. Albert Einstein used the laws of general relativity to prove that time is not a separate, eternal flow, but a physical property woven into the fabric of space. This leads to the block universe concept. Here, time does not pass. Instead, every moment of the past, present, and future exists simultaneously as a single static structure. Every event is a permanent coordinate in a 4D geometric block. Our experience of now is merely a relative coordinate within the block. The past is not gone, and the future is already there. Our consciousness simply traverses the path. If a creator exists outside or encompasses this space-time block, they inhabit every single coordinate of history simultaneously. Physics eliminates the concept of a past or future God. Every moment of your life is occupied by the divine at once. If the block universe removes the barrier of time, quantum non-locality removes the barrier of space. This shift isn't theoretical. In 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded for experiments that proved quantum entanglement is a foundational law of our reality. Entanglement occurs when two particles become linked, instantly reacting and sharing information regardless of the distance separating them. Even if they are on opposite ends of the universe, they behave as a single system. This proves that at the most foundational level of physics, spatial distance is irrelevant to connection. Reality does not require proximity for interaction to occur. By proving that immediate, distanceless connection is a physical reality, science removes the need for a physically distant divine entity. Presence is no longer constrained by the limits of three-dimensional space. When we combine the physics of the block universe and the non-locality of entanglement, the theological concept of the Holy Spirit gains a physical correlate. In physics, an influence present at every point in space and time is described as a field, like gravity or magnetism. If connection is instantaneous across all coordinates, the medium of that connection must be a universal matrix. We can define this universal matrix as the ELF, the Eden love field. The ELF is an omnipresent, non-local, personal matrix of frequency spanning the entire 13.8 billion-year-old cosmos. It is the field through which the divine is simultaneously present at every coordinate of spacetime. By mapping the Holy Spirit onto the mechanics of a quantum field, we find a conception of divine omnipresence that is physically conceivable. The divine is not a ghost, it is the fundamental field of the universe. If the universe is permeated by this macro-level field, we must identify the specific micro-level mechanism within the human being that interacts with it. We can visualize this through a 4-tier architecture of human identity. The first layer is the body, which recycles its elemental atoms every 7 years. The second is the mind, the ego, which shifts daily based on experience and environment. These are changing, transient layers of hardware. The third layer is the soul. While deeper, the soul is a shifting entity that grows and evolves through a lifetime of experience. It is a work in progress. According to the metaphysical principles established by Parmenides, true eternal identity cannot be subject to change. If a part of you is capable of becoming something else, it is not your eternal core. Deep within the architecture lies the fourth layer, the divine fragment, or the neshama. Your core identity is this unchanging, eternal fragment. It acts as a built-in frequency antenna, designed specifically to receive and resonate with the ELF. This 4-tier model changes how we view the mechanism of prayer. Prayer is not a transactional plea sent to a distant authority in a moment of fear. It is a process of internal alignment. Consider the biblical instruction to ask, seek, and knock through the lens of frequency. The jagged orange pulse represents the human fragment when it is misaligned. The purple baseline is the ELF, a constant, universal wavelength of love. When you align your internal antenna through focus and silence, your frequency shifts to match the baseline of the field. This is the phase alignment of the fragment with the ELF. The resulting state is uncaused joy, a condition generated by structural resonance within the field itself, rather than by external circumstances. Spiritual peace is the result of mechanical alignment with universal laws. It is a state of resonance with a field that is already present, waiting for your antenna to tune in. This resonance scales upward when we move from the individual to the collective. As tuned individuals connect, they reach a critical mass known as ecclesia. This group resonance functions like nuclear fusion. By overlapping their individual fields, the group amplifies its connection to the ELF exponentially, accessing a depth of presence that is inaccessible in isolation. The universe structurally rewards the state of group resonance. Connection is a fundamental law of physics, as essential to the architecture of the cosmos as gravity. We can view this entire system of 4D theology through a single paradigm, the Eden game. These are the 7 principles of the Eden game, a 13.8 billion-year-old structured environment built expressly for the cultivation of resonance. In this framework, death is graduation. Quantum information is preserved, transitioning seamlessly to the next space-time block. Embracing 21st century discoveries doesn't require abandoning the divine. Science provides the empirical lens we need to comprehend its true scale and proximity. You are not a transient body in a desolate universe. You are an eternal fragment designed to operate within the frequency of the divine field.